for the Giants meeting with Russell Wilson, I thought it was smart by them. I mean, the fact that he's only going to get paid $1.2 million this year and $39 million will be picked up by the Broncos, it makes sense to have a veteran presence on your football team, regardless of what you think about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was he's a Super Bowl winner. There was a point in time where he was a top 5 quarterback in the league. He is a player that, certainly showed last year, even though he and Sean Payton didn't seem to mesh very well. Still had a decent year stats-wise, and I thought he was much better this past year than he was the year prior under Nathaniel Hackett. So I thought it was smart. I guess he wants to go to the AFC, which is nuts, because I told you the AFC is loaded with quarterbacks. I mean,
that's why I think the Steelers did this.
Yeah, I know, but I think the best chance for himself to have an opportunity to play and win would be here with the Giants, but you see Philadelphia, they just had Fletcher Cox just retired along with Jason Kelsey. I mean, that team is going through a little bit of a transition right now. Different coaches, different ways of doing things there in Philadelphia. I would have thought that had the Giants been able to sign Russell Wilson, that wouldn't have been a bad thing.
Yeah, but then what do you do for the future? Because if you're signing Russell Wilson,
quarterback.
Okay, but then so you're telling me now you're going to have Russell Wilson for a year, Daniel Jones as a backup, and then draft a guy to be your third string quarterback in the first round? Now, that sounds crowded. Now, you want to tell me that you're going to get rid of Daniel Jones, bring in Russell Wilson, pay Russell Wilson a veteran minimum, and so basically like you're paying him what you're paying Daniel Jones, so there really isn't any change in finances, then okay. But I couldn't imagine them going into the year with Russell Wilson as the starter, Daniel Jones as the backup, and then a guy that they draft as the third stringer?
No,
seems a little messy.
I would think that they would have gotten rid of Daniel Jones.
Okay, now then that's a different thing.
That would have been the case, yeah. I think. And I also think that he probably, Russell Wilson probably thinks, I could beat out Kenny Pickett. I could play for Mike Tomlin. I could be the Steeler quarterback, and I could be better than what they have there. So he may be thinking that's his best chance to start, although I'm not, look, if he would have signed with the Giants, I believe the Giants would have told him that Daniel Jones wouldn't have been here. So maybe we're barking up the wrong tree. Maybe Daniel Jones will be here, and maybe that was something that did not make Russell feel comfortable about coming here.
Yeah, and he's definitely going to start in Pittsburgh unless something happens where he is just absolutely terrible in camp or he gets hurt. He was brought in to be the starter. You know that. You don't go and have a 6-hour meeting with a guy and then multiple meetings and bring the owner in and Arthur Smith, the new offensive coordinator there, for him to come in and be a backup quarterback. He's going to start for them. And then the Steelers feel like they don't have somebody that can compete with those great quarterbacks in the AFC, and they're thinking maybe they can get something out of Russell Wilson so they can get back in that conversation. They weren't going to be able to do it with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. And I honestly think, I don't know why, I mean, I have been down on Russell Wilson like the world has been down on Russell Wilson, but I think this is going to work for a couple of reasons. One, he has been humbled big time the last couple of years. So he got that big contract, went out to Denver. He's the man, gets out of Seattle where things weren't working well for him, goes through this miserable season with Nathaniel Hackett, is horrible, comes back last year, with Sean Payton, plays better, but also gets his ass handed to him by the head coach and gets screamed at. So he has been totally humbled in different ways. And now he's got Mike Tomlin as a coach that every player who plays for Mike Tomlin absolutely loves the guy. And Pittsburgh is just a no-frills kind of place. He's not going to get himself involved in the celebrity nonsense that he's gotten himself involved with over the years. And he's a football player still, and he's going to show up there. He's going to see the history. He's going to get into it, and I think something's going to ignite back in him to start being the great player that he was years ago. I think he's going to. I don't know if they're going to go into the AFC Championship game. I think he's going to play well there, though. I think he's going to play well there.
I'm not. Listen, it's an opportunity for him, and as a guy who kind of went through a little bit of what he's going through right now, you just want to try to find a place where you have a chance to start. And where you have a legitimate chance to start. Like, you're going to be brought in, and it is going to be a competition. So I kind of understand why he did this, but I just also look at the AFC, and I'm like, the AFC is loaded. It's loaded with all these quarterbacks, and, we went over this list last week, and, I mean, he's got to be somewhere around 10 or 11 in terms of, everybody else, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Herbert, Lawrence, Stroud now, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson. They trade for Jerry Jeudy out in Cleveland. It wasn't a great
4 in his own division, arguably, depending on what Deshaun Watson you're going to get.
Exactly. And listen, Joe Flacco, I think, is going to probably sign back with the Cleveland Browns as well. And he had a nice little run with them towards the end of the season. But now, all attention now turns to Kirk Cousins. He's the guy at the top of the list. He's the guy. Is he going to stay with Minnesota? Minnesota is actually talking with him right now. You didn't think that they were going to be, but they are talking to him right now. And I think if I had my guess, I'd have to guess that Kirk Cousins wants to take this thing to free agency.
Yeah, and I think probably. Now, I don't know. I know that they want to draft a young guy. I know that they want to trade up and draft a young guy, but they haven't done that yet. So if they can't get that deal done where they move up in the draft to get the guy that they want, then they're probably going to go back to Kirk Cousins and say, sorry, we don't have any better options. And he's probably like, well, screw you guys at this point. Like, I don't want to be the second choice. All I've done is come here and put up some unbelievable numbers for this franchise. And I've basically got a legacy here as one of the most productive quarterbacks in franchise history. And you're basically, you know what me around here, D'ing me in the drive-thru.
Yeah.
So I'm like, screw you guys. And there seems to be some momentum there in Atlanta. I would love for them to draft somebody and then also bring him back for a couple more years. I think that would be the ideal situation.
Well,
but
the real question is they got to sign Justin Jefferson and him.
Yeah, I know. Well,
wow. I mean, look, Chris Jones just got his big money from the Chiefs. Looked like he signed a mammoth deal. And it looks like it's about $95 million guaranteed, and he breaks the record for defensive tackles that was set by Aaron Donald in the short 3-year window. It looks like he's over $30 million a year. So these numbers are starting to go through the roof. It would be interesting to see what Atlanta offers Kirk Cousins. Is it enough to basically say, I'm done here and I'm going to go to Atlanta, and I'm going to sign a 3-year, $150 million contract?
Yeah, I mean, it truly is amazing that where I went from this guy, now I want him back. But I don't think that the brass over there thinks that it's smart to sink so much money of your salary cap into the quarterback or the wide receiver. They want to spread it out, and they want to go younger. That's what they want. If they didn't have, I'm telling you right now, if they didn't have to pay Justin Jefferson, who's going to have a record-breaking contract, Kirk Cousins would be back. Yeah. But they have decided what they're going to do. I think. Now, they might go a different direction. Maybe they don't even know what the hell they're thinking. But I think that what they want is a young quarterback on that rookie deal, and then they want to pay the wide receiver, the superstar wide receiver, and spread the money out elsewhere. That's what I think their preference would be. And then that might end up biting him in the ass. But yeah, he's a guy, even though he's coming off an Achilles, is going to be very, very coveted. And after watching the quarterback documentary, that this guy works his ass off. And there's no way that he's going to take money somewhere and then put his feet up. I mean, he is going to go and he's going to work hard and he's going to be a leader and he's going to play well for you.
You know who hopes that he signs with the Atlanta Falcons?
Kyle Pitts.
Well, I would think all those guys down there probably are hoping that they would get a veteran quarterback of his stature.
Raheem Morris?
Of course. All those, those people, of course.
Arthur Blank?
Yes, he's another one. Zach Wilson.
Why is that?
So Zach can go play up in Minnesota.
Oh, you got to stop.
What do you mean?
He's not going to. He will not start there. I'll guarantee you that.
Oh, now all of a sudden he will not start.
He won't start there. But so that's what you want, is you want him to go and ruin my franchise.
No, I don't. I want to be able to have a reason really to focus in on him.
Oh God,
with you every morning, every Sunday, Monday morning.
Nope, not going to happen.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, if he's the quarterback,
I mean, Kevin O'Connell, former quarterback himself, he can resurrect the guy's career.
I will drop that team as from a rooting interest standpoint by the time he's on the roster.
You can't do that.
Oh yeah, I could.
You can't do that.
There's no rules.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta sit there. You gotta support your team no matter what happens.
No, sorry. That's one. That is a bridge too far for me. I won't be able to deal with that.
Really?
I won't. I just won't. Then I'll know that the football gods are conspiring against me. Then I just know just to get out. Now's the time to get out. If you're telling me that I had to go through Daniel Jones playing the greatest game of his life after I slammed the guy for 3 years on the radio, in Minnesota in a playoff game, enough for him to get a $40 million contract. I had to sit through that. Now you're going to tell me I got to sit through Zach Wilson being the starting quarterback of that team? No, I'm not doing it
Sam
anymore.
Darnold and Zach Wilson.
I'd rather have Sam. Both. Yeah, I know. I saw that. But then Zach Rosenblatt put that out there. Nobody knows anything, man.
You know what? I saw that.
Nobody knows anything.
Attaboy, Zach. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know what it is that you want to see me suffer.
Heat under your butt.
You want to see me suffer.
No, I don't.
That's what you want. Yes, you get excited about this. You want to see me squirm. You want to see me suffer. You get great joy out of that, which is fine. I mean, I got great joy out of Chico Resch and Matty Loughlin screaming and yelling when they beat the Rangers in the playoffs last year. So I get it. I understand.
So you got joy out of the Devils beating the Rangers
because it was funny because
on me.
Yeah, not because of you, but it was just funny that how much those guys hate the Rangers. Lachlan and Chico Resch and screaming that they were doing was funny to me, so I got joy out of it.
Game winner!
They'll get to see the Rangers tonight.
That will do it, as Akira Schmidt has shut out the New York Rangers.
I mean,
Well, that was last year. This is a new year, a new time. And by the way, for you Ranger fans out there, you know what Chris Drury did? He did what he did 2 years ago. He went and found quality NHL players to fortify a roster that he believes can get it done with its goalie, with its defense, with its top two lines. And listen, everybody, I told you who I wanted, but that would have cost a little bit too much probably for the liking of the New York Rangers. But at the end of the day, they filled two needs that they desperately needed. And if this Roslovic kid really turns out to be the missing piece for Mika and Kreider 5-on-5, great. I'm not so sure yet, although he looked pretty good. But this Alex Wenberg guy is really good. And he fit in perfectly on the third line the other night. So Chris Drury didn't do anything that was, fantastic in terms of name recognition and, giving up a lot of assets. We kept all of our young players. We kept Barclay Goodrow. And I think the team is now ready now and full steam ahead for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's an Islander town right now, so you know it. I know it.
Islander town right now.
It's an Islander town right now. They're the hottest team in hockey. They're now in a playoff spot. They win again. They scored 6 goals last night in Anaheim. It's an Islander town.
Anaheim stinks.
Who cares?
What
are you supposed to do if they would have lost to them? Then what?
You would have said that they're not. So you wake up this morning, they are a wild card team.
That is right.
Yes.
They made up like 8 points from the beginning of March to now on the Red Wings.
Yeah, they threatened that they were going to trade the whole team, and all of a sudden the team started playing well.
Yeah, it's like what Rick Pitino did to St. John's.
Exactly.
Just threatened them and said, I'm miserable, to cut all you guys.
Well, they fired the coach, and all of a sudden practices took on a different...
Well, it took a while for them to get going, though. It didn't happen right away.
But practices changed a little bit, and... Patrick Waugh, kind of changed the thinking in the room, and then all of a sudden they found their game. I mean, look, all I can tell you is they gave up so many leads this year late in games. That's why their record really isn't indicative as to how competitive they've been.
Yeah, well, it builds character. All those losses.
That would have built character.
Yeah, it's got a nice little layer, a little calloused layer on this team now that they could deal with anything.
If the Islanders overtake the Flyers in the Metro
and the Hurricanes take over the Rangers,
round one is Rangers Islanders.
That'll be a nightmare for you.
It's not going to be a nightmare for me. Are you kidding me? I'm ready to put the pedal to the metal and let's roll.
Back-to-back years, you got to deal with a local team in the first round like that.
But that's what the NHL wants.
No, it's not what they want because they changed the regular season schedule so these teams only play like 3 times a year.
Yeah, but that's why they want it in the playoffs, though. They want those rivalries in the playoffs in that first round to get it going, to get interest going.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'd still rather see it in the conference final as opposed to the first round. I'd rather see them play more in the regular season, but whatever.